This could be fun. Let's crack on. Hello and welcome to another MrBetaByte video, and this one's a little bit different insofar as I'm hoping we can get this HF950 sorted. So in the last video we sorted out the issues with the real motor, and that's just a great fix. I'm so glad I found that out. But I did actually, if you remember, I broke off these are 40 years old, or getting on for 40 years old, and the plastics are just getting so brittle. And like I said in the last video, the plastics on this particular 950 are really quite brittle. I've done a lot of these now, and I don't think I've ever come across one that has such brittle plastics on the deck. So debatable why that is. This machine has been in a very sort of smoky atmosphere, and it's sort of just one of those things that I think it affects the plastics. Some plastics more than others, depending on how they're sort of created. But anyway, let's try and get this sorted. So my plan is to use a screw and put a bit of this is 3-to-1 with glue inside, heat shrink that I've cut to size. Put that on the screw, melt it down, or heat it up so it sort of shrinks, and then I need to drill a hand drill, actually using the hand drill bits, a hole so I can screw this in, and job should be a good one. There is something to be said for some of these slightly older machines that don't rely so much on the plastic, but yeah, let's crack on. Okay, so let's see if my brilliant theory is going to work. So there it is. I'm just waiting for a bit of heat, so I'm going to heat this to about 163, it's saying. And it's just if I can get it tight enough. I do actually have quite a few of these screws, so I'm not going very evenly. Using fairly low air pressure as well, just to try and... Oh, that's going fairly well. It's just, is it going to be small enough? To be fair, I think even the screw is too big. Okay, well, maybe I should have tried that first, but yeah, that ain't gonna work. Did I find a smaller screw? Yes, I did. So let's try that one. Yeah, I think I actually picked up the wrong screw. I mean, thing is, do I just use that screw? I mean, it's fairly snug, so I think I'll just do that, to be honest. I'll drain out the assembly there, bit of plastic, and see if we can get the screw in. Yeah, so that first bit was pretty much totally useless. Anyway, let's crack on. Okay, so I've got my finger drill set, These are great, but they are very fragile. You can see one is already broken. That actually broke the first time I used this kit. Just broke straight off. But it is actually really useful for this sort of work, where you just have to very carefully drill through relatively soft material. So I do actually need to go right the way through. So there's already a hole there, but that hole doesn't go right the way through the deck. You can see it's taking plastic out, maybe you can see that. Super, so I should be able to put the screw in now. I may well try the screw first before I actually put the little sort of gear assembly back on. So a little, that's just a rubbishy screwdriver. It's one of these ones that you get with iPad screen kits, but it should be good enough. Just get little bits of plastic away. Just if I can tap it. Yeah, I don't think it's quite big enough. Not quite. Okay. Yeah, I can't even find the hole. Still not quite big enough. I just don't know whether this is going to be a good way to do this. So I have to take so much material off, and there isn't much there. But yeah, I'll plod on, and then I'll update you on what I did. Well, it's quite a long time since I recorded the last segment. When I say quite a long time, you've probably noticed it in quite a few videos, this machine up on its side by the screen when I'm sort of testing other machines. And I was going to replace that bit of plastic with something I'd fabricated, possibly using the pin that I'd pushed through from the top. And then I thought, well, why don't I actually just replace that assembly? And I think that's what I'm going to do. I dug out, it took me ages to find this, but I dug out this scrap deck, which, as you can see, I've robbed bits off quite comprehensively, but it does still have the assembly. Now this is going to be interesting to try and get off, partly because, well, it's there, so I think it's that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's that actually. So you can see there. So that shouldn't be too bad to get off. I should just be able to... I mean, I was thinking of just gently melting it, but I'm sort of tempted to just cut the top off, to be honest. And maybe do it that way. You see, that's cracked there. Or is it? Is there a fine crack? No, that is all intact. So that's good. My biggest regret with this is I really shouldn't have been lazy. I should have pulled out the whole drawer to put the real assembly back in, and I mean, otherwise this machine is done. I'm going to do the power supply. I'm going to recap the rest of the 12 volt side of it, mains to 12 volt side of it, because it does whistle, and I mean, experience tells me that you replace the caps, and these are pretty solid. They're always judged as being quite weak power supplies, but they certainly can do the job well. So I'm happy to do that. I was considering putting in one of those XP mains to 12 volt power supplies that doesn't require an earth. But now I'm going to recap that and we'll see how that performs. But I'm going to pull this right out. Probably, yeah, I will. You can see more cracked plastic down there, to be honest. The plastics are just so brittle on this, and yeah, it's going to be a bit of a pain. But yeah, take off the loading motor mechanism, get this out further, lift this up and out the way, and then we should be able to somehow, well, we will be able to just do the same as what I envisage doing here and hopefully glue it in. It could be a bit interesting because I don't know quite. I should be able to glue that in. That metal bar is going to have to come off on both decks as well. So yeah, but I think I'm going to start with the power supply first, and we'll take it from there. So yeah, let's crack on. Okay, so I've sorted the power supply out now, changed all the caps within the actual box itself. Not bothering with these here, they all look fine, and they seem to test okay, as much as I can test them in circuit. So yeah, it's only 4 capacitors on the sort of the if you like, the cold side of the power supply. So we've got 100 microfarad 25 volts and a 33 microfarad at 16 volts. They're on the little stand-up panel, and then we've got the main 12 volt smoothing capacitor, 2200 microfarad 16 volts, and a 22 microfarad 100 volt cap. I've seen people put much lower voltage rated ones in, because I think it only has like 12-ish volts across it, but I believe these take a bit of a hit. I think it's power inrush, possibly. So you need to be 100 volts, and this one has actually leaked quite comprehensively. And putting it on the tester, it was giving all sorts of weird and wonderful values. Leaked onto the PCB quite a bit as well, so cleaned all that up. But yeah, I'm really glad I did that, and more than likely that was what was causing the issues with the with that squealing, because I would have been loading it up. But yeah, so that's all in. And the other thing I've done and not recorded, which I really should have actually, was just getting this out enough, further out, which I should have done in the first place. It was just lazy of me to think that I could, maybe lazy, maybe I was just like overconfident or something, to think that I could sort out that real motor without taking out the whole lot. And you do. It's just trying to cut that corner, it's just not worth it. So took the top off the motor there and the screw that goes in there, and that assembly lifts off, and then another screw to take the motor assembly out, lifted it out, undone the cable management, and taken off the lifter as well. So it drives the sled, that lifts the carriage, and yeah, then release the latch. You can see down there with the circlip on the top of it. Just pull that to one side and it'll unlatch it, and yeah, it's now completely out. So yeah, we'll get this on its side and see what we can do. Now I was going to try and do something with the other assembly out of the old deck, and looking at it, quite honestly, I am going to go with plan A, which is to use a pin. I've already made the hole. You know, I've already used the finger drills to drill bits to make the hole, to then be able, it's big enough to take a pin. And I've been experimenting with heat shrink, and I think, so here's one I made or tried earlier, and it's a little bit on the fat side. I used two, one on top of each other of this, sort of beef it up. One is not enough, two, it's just a little bit too big. But I have also found this, which is quite a bit thinner, so I'm hoping, I'm going to experiment that that will do the trick. So yeah, I'll do that and we'll crack on. Okay, so I've taken out the sled motor and plastic assembly associated with this, and I'm going to try and turn this over. Forgetting, of course, that is going to come adrift. Almost don't have enough hands to do this. So up on end. Well, I'm not too worried about that because it's not actually. And ultimately I'm going to have to get from this side anyway because of the sticking the pin in, but this should make life a lot easier. Now, have I broken anything? No. The motor's still good. Okay, so that's the assembly there. I'll probably give this a bit of a clean as well. But it's quite nice because there's no glue involved, which there really doesn't need to be. So, yeah, remember that was missing. I wonder if I can find one of those. There's a bracket that just goes over this. I think it's just to stop this coming adrift if it gets enough of a shock, but I don't know. I don't think it was going to go anywhere. But if I can find one, I'll put one on. But I'm not too worried if I can't. And yeah, see, I've done the Hall effect. Just remembering, it's been such a long time since I looked at this machine. It's been buried away. So yeah, let's crack on. So I think I can just lift this up, put the pin in, and then I can just sort of make sure it's home just by going through where the spools go. So let's try that. Oh, it's not going to slide anywhere, is it? It's on the cables. Just trying to find where I'm putting it. Oh, totally the wrong place. Just wondering actually if this does go right through. Yeah, it does. There we go. Got it. So notice a bit of plastic fell out as well. Which is a little bit concerning. Okay, so drop that down there. Then we've got our magic assembly. Now I think I could probably cut that down before I do anything else. So let's do that. And then slide that on. And then, can I just snip this off? Or is it going to damage another pair of cutters? No, that's fine. Okay. So, just get the other deck. So I make sure I put the string on correctly. So, one part of the spring locates there, and goes round the bottom of the assembly, round onto that bit of metal. Okay, so oh gosh, it's really bending quite a lot. There we go. Well, that seems okay. I was just thinking, because on this one, of course, you can actually push this right the way around, but there's no capstan motor in the way, so of course you can. Yeah, somewhere I do have a capstan motor. It's the scrap one I got from Laszlo's, or the one that I had to replace. It'd just be nice to put that back on, but yeah, okay, well, like I said, I'm not terribly worried about not having that, so yeah, so I should now be able to put this back together. I just noticed on there's a spring that's come adrift. I think I took that off actually to help with this, just so it wasn't under tension, so that's fine. But I'll check all the other springs. It all looks pretty good and together. A slight bit of distortion there. You can see where I've just slightly distorted the back tension when I was sorting out the motor. So yeah, cool. Okay, put that spring back on, and we'll take it from there. So let's lower this down. It is all right, isn't it? I'm not missing anything here. No. And there was a bit of plastic I was concerned about somewhere. I seem to remember. It all looks fairly... That's broken. There's a bit of plastic off there. But I'm not too concerned about that. Everything else looks okay. So, yeah. I do have a theory about the cracked plastics. I think it's to do with smoke. And this has come from a house, I think. It seems very much like it's come from a house that's had a wood burner. I just wonder if the chemicals in the smoke are actually what shortens the life. You know, it is one of those things that has been apart for so long, I've sort of forgotten where everything goes and how these, you don't remember in fine detail, especially when you're putting screws in order then. You know, you take something apart, do the work, put it back together. That's what's supposed to happen anyway. There's another bit of cracked plastic there, and I think it's one of those. There. Hopefully we'll be all okay. Yeah, they need to cross over, don't they? And then I don't think I've got the screw for that handy. I'll have to find that. I have to remember which one it is. I think it's the same as that. Actually, I wonder if that screw is not one of those. Yeah, let me have a look. Yeah, it's not. It's one of them. I thought it was a bit odd, but it's fine. I think it would make a huge amount of difference. Maybe it does. So I think maybe the tab might actually foul the washer or the side of the screw. Don't know. It doesn't look quite flush, which slightly concerns me. It seems alright. Well, I suppose time will tell. And then I guess that goes there. Maybe not. I think that's just a small screw. I think this is just from somewhere else. Yeah. Yeah, okay, I'll find that as well. It's all on the bench somewhere. There we go. I found it. So I should now be able to slide this back in. Probably don't want to do this upside down, so I'm just going to push it in a little bit. And must remember I've got these screws missing, or 3 missing actually, so yeah, okay, let's turn this the right way around. Okay, so get rid of that little bit of stuff. Magic. And take out the screw. I'll just put in just to hold that temporarily, so there's one less thing flapping about. I think I'm remembering that correctly. I seem to remember being caught out by it before. Oh, okay. Oh, I remember now. This had a bit of an issue with the skate, with the sled dragging somewhere. And it's almost like it's not quite true. There's something there. It's just dragging. After a bit of investigation, you can see, I mean, it's been sort of dragging on this part of the base assembly of the skate quite a while. And what it turned out to be, I hadn't quite got the reassembly properly lined up, so that was causing it to be slightly out at this bottom edge. But also these cables, they were twisted in a sort of not quite in the right place. They needed to be twisted off the back of the real assembly, not under this plate. And so I've sort of tidied that up. And yeah, that seems to now be perfectly flush. So, well, fingers crossed. Let's have a go. Oh, yeah, that's straight in. Perfect. So that's... I don't have to lift it anymore. I seem to remember I had to do that right from when I had this machine. I had to just lift this up. It's like somebody's worked on it before and not quite put it back together properly before I even had the machine. So yeah, okay, well that's great. So I suppose we ought to put everything else back in. So hopefully the board will stay up. And let's get this back together. And somewhere just have to put it in the right way. So this bit goes in, obviously, so we can lift the carriage. It's a long time since I've done one of these, so just trying to remember how it does all go back together. There we go. Just negotiated that back in. And then the motor assembly. And I don't know whether I actually greased this up or not, but it looks pretty healthy, to be fair. The rubber at the end is pretty good. So I know you can have excessive play when this end here starts to fall apart. So yeah, and it should time itself as I put it in, because they've got the notch there that goes into the, which you can't quite see, into that part there. So let's get that lined up and put in. I seem to remember this is a little bit of a fiddle just to get it in. Oh, you've got to do it from this way, I seem to remember. Probably didn't see an awful lot of that, but not easy to film and do. I need to get more cameras. So that's located correctly. Just got to get that little, there we go. So that metal post which you can't really see. Down there you can see the brass metal post there. That needs to locate into the chassis. So yeah, just have to sort of negotiate that, and it'll go. And then both of these parts of the assembly go on top of the screw holes. So yeah, let's get those screws in and cabled up, and we should be good to go. Super. So we should be somewhere near being able to give this a try. So I'm plugged in, all on, all the screws are in. Lovely. And against my better judgment, I am going to put the screws back in because I need to just find out if I've misplaced any. Been up on the bench for so long, and cables are moved and all the rest of it. And the screws will be there, but I'll just have to find them. Okay, well, we're all back together, so let's give it a try. Yeah, okay. So far, so good. Yeah, okay. Absolutely no squealing from the power supply. Yeah, I remember that was a bit floppy as well. Buttons a little bit from not being used. Okay. So that's errored. So, it's errored. It looks like rewind's alright. But fast forward isn't. Well, fast forward isn't. Oh. It's trying. Okay, well, let's eject. Let's see how that goes, because, well, let's have it again. Okay, so let's eject it. Well, it's not leaving a loop of tape. That's good. It's just what on earth? Ooh. Is happening with the real mechanism? It's like part of the mechanism is jammed. Okay. Well, it's not a massive pain to sort that out. I wonder if it is something to do with that. because that is on the take-up side, isn't it? I just wonder if that is not moving properly. Maybe this is not in the right place. That's now gone the other side of that. I don't know. I don't think it has, because that's take up, isn't it? I mean, it could be. Maybe something's gone in the wrong position. I'll investigate. Well, I found out why it wasn't fast forward or moving forward at all. This assembly here, which goes on here, basically was, no, not there, goes on there, was completely jammed. And why it was jammed was we've got more cracked plastic, and I've pushed it down now, but this is actually proud. Obviously, when I took that board off underneath for the optocouplers, this plastic had sort of popped up, and I really don't know what to do about that, to be honest, because it is quite cracked. Really, it should be glued, but I don't know whether I can lift this up. Yes, I can. So yeah, it was just slightly proud. So I'm tempted just to put some glue under there, and yeah, that should do it. So well, literally, I think I will use the scalpel blade just to get it in there, basically. Get it along the whole length. The chances are it might pop up again. It is getting a real problem with some of these decks anyway. Some are fine, others aren't. I mean, like I say, I do wonder about the smoky atmosphere for the plastics, but let's press that down so it has a chance to dry. Unfortunately, I've got glue on the top of it, so it's almost dry. Well, okay, let's see if I can remember how this goes back together. So put the offending arm back on. So that was what was jamming. And see, that now moves. But it was literally where that plastic was cracked, just to stopping it from moving. So not ideal at all. So this is a bit of a fiddle to get back in. It's sort of at a bit of an angle. Have I put these the wrong way round? I have, haven't I? I was thinking that doesn't look right. That's better. Yeah, so then the spring goes on there, which I'll do in a minute. Then this blue bit goes on here. And then spool. Let's line that up. The brake. And try tweezers again. Oh, we're done with them. The other ones, but anyway. Try not to overstretch it too much. Oh. Right, so that now, well, yeah, you can see it's moving. Yeah, that's what it's supposed to do. I thought it was a bit weird, I have to say. Oh yeah, because the one brake wasn't coming off properly, and that's why. Ah. Right. Cool. Okay, so, the other thing I noticed, I was saying about these cables, and I do wonder if maybe there's a twist being put in them. So I'll take the twist out. Yes, I think that's what's happened. I don't know whether I've done that or it was done before, but at some point this is not. It hasn't been sitting right since before I had it. So. Super, right, I'm going to put the skate motor back in, and I won't show that because I've just done it. And we'll give it another go. Let's crack on. Okay, so let's see if that's done the trick. Let's power it on. Super. I'd forgotten I'd laced it. Yeah, we are good. And yeah, really cool. Perfect still. Back to play. Okay, so we've got no beta hi-fi.
I can't leave the store now, okay? I can't leave. Why not? I mean, I don't have anyone to come in for,
well,
MrBetaByte.
I forgot that tape doesn't actually have any audio on the hi-fi track. I don't know why, but it's got no hi-fi. This has, and it's absolutely fine. So that's great. So we are good to go. I mean, the machine needs a good cleanup now. It needs running in. I need to clean the tape path again. I need to put on the top, but I'm not going to bother putting that back on until I've completely done everything else that I need to, like clean the tape path, because obviously this gets in the way. But yeah, it's working really well. Little bit of a problem, the drawer doesn't seem to quite want to go in. I think it's just the cable management around the back causing problems. It just doesn't quite, it goes all the way in, but it sort of gets pushed out by the cables at the back, so I need to sort that out. The buttons are actually okay, but obviously they haven't been used for so long that they were causing problems. And I do have the remote, so whoop. So we've got the usual problem with the camera flooding the IR, but yeah, so That's brilliant. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this one. I feel it was a very messy one, this one, to get sorted, but yeah, we got there. And like I say, just with a few extra bits and pieces being sorted, just, you know, clean up, dust out, it's good to go. So yeah, with that, thank you very much for watching. And a like and a subscribe as well would be absolutely fantastic. Got lots more to come, including another HF950 in the very near future. So bye for now.